Okay, so yeah, um, what even happened? What even is happening? What 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 is time even? It seems like it's fake too. It's so plastic. It's so bendable. Minutes can feel like hours, and days can go by in a second with no real memory. I guess I do tend to lose track of time. It's a wild world out there. I sometimes have trouble keeping up with all of it. And what is it about our world that has us fill our minds with, I'm guessing, mostly nonsense? Some meaningful things, but yeah, I'm guessing mostly nonsense. But this idea that that's, I don't know, the goal or something. This is quick frame from this new show on Netflix. What's it called? Lock and Key and Lock. And just very interesting to me to have these memories sort of portrayed. This is like a memory room, and how they would be using these different colors, and how you would, in your mind, store them away in some sort of categorical fashion, having them organized. Is that is that something you would do? Is that really how our minds are ordered? And is that the goal for your memories, to just have a bunch of super nice ones all wrapped up in a box? That's my question. Now, I just want to say what's up to real live people in the chat. What's up, The Real Truth? What's up, Mary Sharp? It's good to see you guys in the chat. You know, it's metaphorical. See, I'm seeing their text being written. That's good enough for me, honestly. At least right now. Now, yeah, I must admit my brain is a little fried. I'm not sure if it has to do with the weather. There is some sort of bizarre, like, hurricane-like thing happening here in the European continent. So just some bizarrely strong winds and general just blusteriness happening. I'm not sure what to make of that, and I kept getting these weird signals like it was a global phenomenon yesterday. Like everywhere was just kind of windy. Didn't really matter if you were in America or Australia or Europe. Whether it was the hurricane or something else, it seemed to be some sort of synchronized global thing. And I mean, I know how crazy that sounds to think that just everywhere on Earth could be blowing at the same time. But like, what if, right? Because that would definitely imply like a totally different mechanism or whatever. You know what I mean? Of weather and just general air currents and all that kind of physics. Would imply something else if it could actually all be windy everywhere at the same time. I mean, because I don't know, I guess that's what we're here for, is to ask the questions that, well, I mean, I don't know, maybe people think are too stupid to even consider asking whether this 33 here was placed, or whether it is in fact the number of people that have checked out this article. And I don't know. I just thought it was kind of silly. British Airways records fastest ever New York London flight at more than 800 miles an hour. Seems pretty fast, right? It's like this is some cool surfs up, bro. Like surfs up. Like wave that these guys are riding, and I mean, I wish I knew more about everything. I wish I knew more about some fluid dynamics and meteorology and everything involved in this that would make me understand this a little bit better. But just sort of on its face, it does seem strange. Passenger plane records over the Atlantic tumbled overnight on Saturday and Sunday as storm cloud hurtled towards Britain on the back of a 200 mile per hour jet stream. Because, yeah, it seems like planes normally do fly only like 600 miles an hour or something like that. And that this storm, and then it would all be sort of blowing in the right direction and not causing just insane amounts of heart rending turbulence. It just seems like a lot of nice things lining up to I don't know, it's sort of like a weird feel good story about something that is kind of strange and definitely seems out of place, this storm. That there's usually not European hurricanes. That's usually not a thing. And I guess this is I mean, this is more like Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Coke fighting with each other. I guess it's always Airbus versus Boeing, seeing who's the better plane. When in reality, you could probably make a way better plane, just thousands times better than either of their planes. But because they fight with each other, you think like there's progress happening, and it may be happening, but it's just at a snail's pace to what it probably could be if you actually followed the innovation and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that's also a part built into this story. But it is pretty nuts that they could make it JFK to. Is that what this is saying, right? JFK, and it's coming this way. JFK to Heathrow, and it only took them 5 hours. It's not so bad. It's not so bad, and right. I'm just very curious about all this, the safety and the possibility of doing this other ways. That right. I guess they talk a lot about fuel efficiency and that planes fly slower than they could just to be optimal. Same with driving and all that kind of stuff. But um, there just seems like, I don't know, some sort of loophole or trick that you could use here. Something worth investigating. Now, apparently we're in a replication crisis. The replication crisis is, as of 2020, an ongoing methodological crisis in which it has been found that many scientific studies are difficult or impossible to replicate or produce. Replication crisis affects the social sciences, medicine most severely, right? So we're talking medicine here. And I mean, sort of long story short, right, really low numbers here. Like only 36%, right, in this area, in this field, are actually showing results properly. And a lot of these studies that they're trying to replicate, it's even the scientist itself that did the original study that's not able um, to replicate it, right? So there's some sort of issue going on here, and I'm sure, right, there's a lot of factors as to why people wouldn't be able to replicate their studies, but right, these are major numbers, right, and a lot of these studies are used to prove kind of things in society or in medicine, just in general, and a lot of things get based off these studies. And if you think about that number, that only 30% of them are actually able to be reproduced, then that's difficult. Right? I'm just reading this. I should read this out loud. I really am definitely spacing out today. I'll be the first to admit. Out of these studies, 16%, right? So 45 studies, bunch of citations. Out of these studies, 16% were contradicted by substance. So 16% contradicted by other studies. 16% found stronger effects. 44% replicated, and 24% remain largely unchallenged, right? So, and that's just in that field. It doesn't seem to really matter what the field is. So, right, just sort of a quick highlight on, right, there is a lot of scientism going around these days. Just be, people pointing at studies or consensus or other sort of, different things in science, and that this really is sort of a huge problem, I guess, in the field that is well known among scientists that, yeah, it's very difficult to replicate. Now, do we care about this? Do we care about this orange circle? I certainly don't. I feel like it did come out later that this was, photoshopped by the guy. The guy definitely used some color correction in here to make it pop properly. But that's how a lot of this sort of news cycle's been going, right? Around this man, you release something and then say this is ridiculous, and then you let it out, a day or two later that it was in fact fake or doctored or somehow sort of manufactured. But the effect is I don't know. The hope is that the effect stays, and I guess with the right people, with certain people, the effect does stick around. It's definitely a weird looking picture, doctored or undoctored. But largely or massively, conclusively, just a distraction, right? Pointless articles and outrage in general. Is this something that's important? Is it something worth 300,000 clicks? I mean, I would say no. Personally, I would say totally no. Totally no. Does any of this matter? That's hard to say. That's hard to say as well. It honestly seems bland and circusy front to back. That would be my personal take on it, but right, you're not gonna see them stopping anytime soon, riding this to the end. I really do wonder what's going to happen in the fall. It's still even this close to that date. It's hard to tell where this is all going to go. And I quickly wanted to get into the details here to see what exactly are they talking about. If only I could properly zoom it. So apparently, 3 people with advanced cancer have received injections of immune cells gene edited using CRISPR without any serious side effects. It is the first U.S. clinical trial of the technique and the first CRISPR cancer trial anywhere to publish its findings. So, I mean, I'd say this is pretty important in the push towards whatever's happening here with gene editing and CRISPR and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure they've been running human trials for years at this point, but this is the first sort of publicly acknowledged use of it. And apparently, I don't know, are these people cancer free now? The trial, the aim was solely to discern if the technique was safe and feasible, not to find a cure. On that basis, it was a success. The 3 patients, all in their 60s, all had tumors that hadn't responded to other treatments and that produced the same protein. Last year, they got the CRISPRs. These cells successfully integrated with each patient's immune system and were still found in their blood 9 months later. Interesting. Results of the trial were published in Science. So apparently they were able to absorb these CRISPR cells into their biome without them being rejected. And apparently they're all right. One has since died. The other 2 have seen their cancer worsen and are now being given other treatments. So, sorry, it's not funny. They're dying of cancer. But, yeah. Apparently it works. And I mean, definitely expect all this to ramp up in the next year. I would see CRISPR going to town. Possibly with some startling side effects. Hopefully something like really crazy. I don't know. I hope something really crazy happens this year. I'm kind of bored, you know? Need something to like shake it all up. Get something disrupted. I don't know. I don't know exactly what that's going to be. If it's an asteroid or the black hole sun or some sort of other major political event. But it seems time. Seems time soon. Now I think this is the last article we can dive into here. But right, bunch of science words going down here, but still worth looking into. Let's see. Astrobiologists are focused on resolving 2 central questions to understanding the environmental and chemical limits of life. By understanding life's boundaries, they intend to identify possible biosignatures in exoplanet atmospheres and in the solar system. Right, so they talk about this lipid bilayer membrane, right? Central prerequisite for life, and looking for that in other places, right? Wondering if it can actually happen out there in one of Saturn's moons. I'm guessing definitely there is some sort of form of life out there, and that they probably already found it, but that they're slowing the rollout. That's, I mean, generally my take on a lot of this forward-facing media, that they've already been down this path and had a chance to run the PR and focus groups and look for the best and most desired impact when it comes to all these things. Yeah, especially when it comes to space stuff. This is, yeah, I would think they know what's out there. That there's probably just some weird little microorganisms, but that, I don't know, They're gonna go get him. I remember reading some book where they went to some moon, and then you drink the juice, that sort of primordial uh, single-celled organism juice out of the moon, and then you see crazy things, right? It's like some sort of acid trip, and it changes your life forever. I could see that being a thing. Probably be really expensive though to get the juice, the Titan juice. But what's the point of this recent study? In this new report, these people formed an exponential step to investigate the thermodynamic viability of azotome formation. Using quantum mechanical calculations, they predicted that these things are unable to self-assemble in liquid water. They proposed that due to stringent anhydrogenous and low temperature conditions, cell memories may be unnecessary for hypothetical astrobiology on Titan. These efforts on predictive computational astrobiology will be of importance. So I guess they're saying that there may be different rules out there, which I would think that there's sort of organisms or forms of life that would focus on, that they'd be able to live on something like Titan and not be able to survive on planet Earth, for example, or in some other, right? I guess there's a lot of different environments all over this Earth, so I definitely wouldn't put it past life being able to survive on some sort of bizarre corner or moon. That is obviously assuming that all that space stuff is actually real and that there's things out there. I don't I don't know. Definitely, when you look at articles like this, it seems like at least there's a lot of people putting energy into specific stuff. They got the cool graphics. They got all these fancy words. I mean, it's a lot and a very complex way of distracting people, right? If in fact this is all just some sort of elaborate scheme, I mean, it would really need to be very, very watertight, very elaborate, and intelligent if this was all made up, because you do have to fool all these intelligent people that went to college for a long time. I still don't, I wouldn't put them past them being able to do that, but I don't know. I don't know. I can't obviously answer that now, whether all of science is just a fake farce, at least as far as astrobiology. But right, I don't want to leave it off the table either, personally. No, time goes by. Sometimes it feels like, yeah, I got a plan. Other times I feel like I totally do not. But it's good to see people in the chat. It's good to see sings a lot of songs. I'm definitely also in that boat. I would say I sings a lot of songs. So I appreciate that. Screen name. And I definitely do want to get into some television, some entertainment, but honestly, I haven't had time to pull the slides and get that all set up. There's wanted to get into a whole thing with Ragnarok. That's this new, I guess it's Norwegian show on Netflix. And just sort of drawing parallels. There seems to be a lot of overlapping content these days. Shows that are about literally the same thing. Not even just like a little bit, but about literally the same thing of a family moving to a small town and discovering paranormal stuff. Um, yeah, I'd say that could describe 3 or 4 high budget shows already that have premiered this year, and it's not even, you know, we're barely at the beginning of February here. And that's a lot of, you know, production time, high quality production time being spent to tell the same story over and over again, right? And then also to have them all being released at the same time. But at least as far as this idea of time and memory and all of it being sort of fabricated or copyable, there's a section of this show where they go into each other's minds and they poke around and see what's going on in there. And yeah, most of them are colored in this way, this sort of rainbow style. And I guess the idea is that most of what you remember, besides the other senses, it is based in light. It's these colors, right? And you see a lot of these four corner things around. What are they called? Squares. But squares within squares, like four square diamond thing. Right? Here's another one that's on the ground. And yeah, this idea that memory and all of that all it really is sort of light that you captured in a specific way by your computer that is your whole nervous system, your yeah, and I would think that those other senses definitely count. They definitely factor in there, but that light really is like right. That's the thing that they worship too. So that could be considered the main defining factor of memory. Yeah, what we're talking about. But whose memory is it? And whose story is this, right? That they're being asked to tell over and over again in different languages in different ways, but all in such a clear way so that you're still able to like recognize similar. I honestly I hope I'm not the only one recognizing this, and that's I gotta find the name of that first one that aired this year. That was also about the family moving to the small town with the creepy house and the demons, and I mean not Sabrina. Yeah, I guess Sabrina's another one on that list. And that's why, right? If I had the time and the brain power, I would definitely pull together some sort of high quality presentation. I would love to do that because that seems like it would be fun to cut together the actual scenes and the way they shoot these things and how similar they do seem to be. How minutely detailedly dictated certain elements seem to have been in these different productions that are airing on the same platform, right? It's not like it seems like they want us to notice how things are carbon copied and lined up because, right, if you were trying to hide it, you would put it in different demographics, maybe on different channels and right, probably at different times of the year. But nah, this is all just all on Netflix, all within the same sort of demographic things that would be automatically suggested to a large group of different people, but all of them having the same story and using a lot of the same symbolism, emotional themes, um, lore, and all about that same story that we love to talk about, right? That there is some ancient, hidden, occulted knowledge, some group or group of groups of people that know something much deeper about the nature of reality, that have been able to somehow hack through, find a loophole, find a secret way of getting at the truth and giving them more power than your average person. right? This is the plot of all of these shows. And I ask myself, as with everything, especially when it becomes as loud as this, when a message is repeated over and over again, when it seems just utterly, direly important that we learn this message or retain this idea, then I don't know, I start to question it. What is the reason why? Is it the truth? Is it something that they're building up towards? Is it a gigantic, elaborate cover story to whitewash what is actually happening? Or not even whitewash, to be some sort of scapegoat fall guy story that is vaguely based in reality, but in the end lets all of the people that are in power and that have figured it out, gives them a way out, gives them an escape route. Because that definitely seems like what we're headed towards, some sort of catalyzing event that will, I don't know, get everybody into some new paradigm, shift us towards a different order. And on a grand scale, right? I'm not talking about who's going to be president next year. We're talking what they're talking about in these TV shows. A way of society that used to maybe work better. Maybe a little more bloodthirsty, a little more cutthroat, but in the end more effective. I don't know.
What do you think? Keep it playing. It was working so well. Everything was working so well. Anyways, that's the end of the show for today. I'm out of brain cells. Like, what is happening to my brain chemistry? Maybe I should start eating more salads and drinking less cola. Coca-Cola's like that for you, I think so. I think I
So yeah, just take it easy. Just be happy, and I don't know, do whatever you want. But I appreciate you watching the show. I do. I honestly appreciate you doing that. So hopefully you'll do that again in the future, and maybe we'll figure something out one of these days. You don't know. You don't know. Maybe we will really get to the bottom of something here. Maybe. Take it easy. Later.